Okay, today we are making my Aunt Kathy's famous banana bread. She brings it to all of our holidays, and since it's springtime, I sort of felt like in the mood to make some banana bread. So first I've got 4 bananas here. I already peeled them and put them in the bowl, but they're kind of small, so I'm going to add a third one. The best thing about these bananas and why I chose these ones were because they're already kind of browning on the outside, and when it browns like that, it really makes the bananas very, very sweet. So it brings out the flavor, and since I really want to focus on banana bread and the banana flavoring, that is why I chose older bananas. So now I'm mashing the bananas, as you can see. I'm just using a fork. It's pretty easy, but you can use something like a rubber whisk, but I just find a fork to be pretty easy. So with only 5 bananas, this won't take too long, but I want to make sure that all the bananas are cut up. I ripped them in half before I put them in the bowl. And this is going to start to get kind of mushy and a little bit liquidy once the oils from the bananas start mixing together. Okay. It's really getting to be that mushy texture that I'm looking for. This is going to be my wet ingredients bowl, so sugars, oil, bananas obviously. But I'm keeping an extra bowl over here just for my dry ingredients such as salt, baking powder, flour, etc. I really don't want big chunks while I'm making this. I want more of the banana flavor rather than the banana texture. So I'm just making sure I'm squishing out all of the larger pieces. That looks pretty good. Okay, so next I'm going to add 2 eggs. These eggs, as we know, eggs really bind things together, so by adding in 2 of them, that's what's going to keep the texture and the shape that I want the banana bread to be. Okay, so now that I've got the 2 eggs combined with the bananas, I just am stirring them in, breaking the yolk and combining everything until I can't really tell that there's eggs in there. Next, I measured out 1 cup of pure white sugar, and I'm adding that to my mixture. I'll give that a quick stir, but I'm also going to be adding some oil, so I don't need to combine this fully yet. So I've got some extra virgin olive oil. You can substitute this for coconut oil or like a Mexican oil. I just wouldn't necessarily recommend vegetable oil. The coconut oil always has a really strong flavor, and I just prefer extra virgin olive oil. So I'm going to be measuring out 1/3 cup of oil. So the reason that I'm using this kind of measuring cup is because it is a liquid measuring cup. It works better than, say, something like this, which I used for sugar, because I'm able to see the meniscus and the way that get a better reading and accurate reading. I'm actually going to switch from my fork to a rubber spatula just because now this oil I'd like to combine it a little better, and I don't want it to stick on the bowl. I can already smell the bananas, and with this oil, it doesn't have too much of a smell or a flavor, I'd say, but it definitely enhances the banana bread. So that's all that we need for the wet ingredients. I'll just move this to the side. So next, I measured out my dry ingredients already. So I've got 1 3/4 cup of flour here, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and I will measure out 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder next. So the baking soda and the baking powder, those are things that really make good leaveners. So 2 teaspoons of baking powder, so half, I'm using a half right now. So I've got 3 and 4. Finally, I need half a teaspoon of salt. All these together, this is when I like to use a whisk, just because I'm able to kind of sift through the flour and the baking soda and the baking powder, etc. It's pretty good. I am now going to add this slowly to my liquid measure, or my liquid ingredients. So I've got the oven preheated to 350 degrees, and I'm going to slowly add in the flour. I don't want it all to go in at the same time because that makes a mess. So this recipe actually will make 2 loaves of banana bread, but I'm only going to be starting with 1 because I just have a little extra time today. So as you see, when I'm combining this, it takes a little while for the liquid ingredients to soak up all of the dry ingredients. At this point, you can probably add some vanilla extract or almond extract if you want some extra flavoring. I would just do maybe half a teaspoon. Or sometimes when I don't feel like cleaning an extra dish, I just use the cap of a vanilla bottle or an almond extract. That equals out to about half a teaspoon. This is really starting to change color and be a little bit lighter, which is good. And as you noticed, we didn't add brown sugar. We just stayed with the plain white sugar, which is totally fine. I'm actually going to be adding a little bit of sugar on the top of the loaf before I put it into the oven, just for a nice crust. So I've got my baking pan here. This is a bread pan, one of my favorites, and I have already added some non-stick oil to it. So I'm going to fill this about half the way, or half of this mixture that I've made. Make sure that it's even. One thing that my Aunt Kathy likes to do is she likes to add mini chocolate chips to her banana bread, which I love to do, but just didn't have chocolate chips today. So, filled up about a third of the pan. Now I'm just going to add some sugar to it. Okay, whatever. So now I'm just adding half a teaspoon of sugar, just right on top. The more sugar you have on this, the thicker the crust will be, and it will sort of start to crumble on top. So I've added about maybe a full teaspoon at this point. So now I'm going to put it in the oven at 350 degrees for 50 minutes. Okay, so 50 minutes is up, and I am going to take the banana bread out of the oven. It smells so good. Look at this beautiful crust that formed from the sugar that we made. So as you can see, it's crunchy right here, so when you bite into it, there's going to be an awesome crust on the top. So I'm just going to put it on the cooling rack just to cool, and then I'll finish pouring the rest of the batter that I saved back into this pan and put it back in the oven for my second loaf.